Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial. Today's review will be Terminator Dark Fate 2019. Let's get into it. Now, if you've been a fan of the Terminator, when you first heard these previews, you was like, man, another Terminator movie. But if you've been watching them, you said, why not? And I'm a little late on this one, so I didn't go see it when it first dropped the first weekend. I wasn't too pressed, but I said, why not? So I'm a little 2 weeks off, but I say, what the heck, I'm going to review it. And actually, if you're a Terminator fan, it was a decent film. And let's go get into the plot. So, actually, whenever the last Terminator came out with the actress that plays as Khaleesi, that I didn't know that plays as Khaleesi in Game of Thrones, I didn't know it was her because the hair color was different. That one was decent too. So, this Terminator Dark Fate, it gets right into it. It doesn't leave you much room to think about. Let's build up. The actions get right to it. Less than 10 minutes into the movie, the action starts, and it's action all the way to the end. So if you're looking for a nice or good action movie, this is definitely it, because it's from beginning to end. The storyline is decent. So at this point, I'm doing it 2 weeks after it. It kind of like wasn't real successful in the box office. I just think because of the whole Terminator spin, and people tired of it. But let's get into the review. So this storyline, they pretty much disregard all the Terminators after Terminator 2, T2, that came out back in the 90s, early 90s. And it kind of picks up from there. So after they did what they did, Sarah Connor and her son, John Connor, they were living in the outer skirts or wherever. And they figured that they saved the world and they were safe. Well, there were more than one Terminator that was sent out to kill John. And while they were out somewhere living life, the Terminator shows up. And the Terminator does look like the Arnold Schwarzenegger type Terminator. And it shows up and it kills John. And after it kills John, it disappears. So fast forward 22 years later. So that happened in 1998. The big showdown and kill was supposed to happen in 97. They stopped it all. This happened in 98. John Connor got killed in 98. 22 years later, in comes character Danny Ramos, played by Natalia, Reyes, and welcome back Linda Hamilton, that plays as Sarah Connor. The good Terminator, Mackenzie Davis, her name is Grace. And the bad Terminator, he plays as just the Terminator, but his name is Gabriel Luna. So that the good Terminator, same plot. The bad Terminator is coming after Danny Ramos, and Grace is there to protect her. And it all starts. Of course, he kills her Danny's father and her brother, and then he's trying to get them. And so, of course, that's what you see. The trailer, you see Sarah Connor shows up and she starts to shoot them. So they don't know why she shows up or who she is. Grace just knows she has to protect Danny. And they don't know how Sarah was able to find them out of nowhere. So they took Sarah's car and they dipped off. But of course, Sarah was able to track them, find out where they are. They had a back and forth, and then they asked each other's questions. They want to find out information. So Sarah tells her after a while, she started receiving coordinates when new Terminators was popping up, and then when they popped up, she was there to kill them. So this time around, she received coordinates that 2 Terminators was coming up, and which was different than the usual. So the good Terminator had coordinates that was placed on her that if the mission failed or something went south, to go to this location. Of course, that location was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's how they both, Sarah Connor, she never knew who was sending her messages, and they both went to the location. So of course Sarah Connor was ready to blow his head off because he killed her son. But what he explained to her is that he can't say sorry, he can't take back what he did. But after he killed her son, his mission was complete, and he ended up because he didn't die, he ended up adapting to society, and then he met a woman that was getting beat, and he helped the woman and helped raise the child. And they asked him, well, didn't she know you were a Terminator the whole time? He said, well, our relationship hasn't really been physical. I'm a good listener, and I'm saying I'm reliable and everything like that. So that was weird, but nevertheless, from there they geared up and said they're going to fight this Terminator. So this Terminator could do liquid just like T2. He can turn into people. He also can step out of his body where he's just the liquid form, and then the metal form of the Terminator part is operating on its own, and then they will always gel back together. So if you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, he was the metal form, and then the T2 form in Terminator 2, that form was the liquid. So what they did was, in this one, they enhanced the two. So the metal form and the liquid form could separate from each other and operate on their own, but then they form back together. And so the girl, Grace, she was a Terminator, basically, not necessarily a Terminator, she was a super enhanced human. So they augmented her and made her faster, stronger, so that she can fight the Terminators. And also, she had a power source inside of her that could fry the Terminator. So through the course of the whole movie, the back and forth, the plot and plan, they find out that Danny is not like John. Sarah thought Danny was like her, meaning that she would have to stay alive so that she could birth a child that would start the revolution to stop the Terminators in the future. But what it was is Danny was John Connor. She was the person to initiate the revolution to fight the Terminator. So she sent Grace back in time to help her. And so, of course, Grace's power source, they took the power source. Arnold Schwarzenegger helped. He helped all the way to the end. His Terminator helped all the way to the end to fight the other Terminator. And they put the electrical plug in the Terminator's head, fried him. But then Arnold Schwarzenegger fought all the way to the end to make sure that he died, and the electric current fried both of them. What does this mean? It means nothing. Because if you've seen all the other Terminators get killed, fried, melted, and they still all come back. So this goes into not to get, a lot of you might not know that a lot of these movies that resurface after they've been out many years, the rights to the movies after a certain amount of years, I think it's like 35 years, the rights to the movies go back to the original owners. And so these studios and people who have owned the rights to these movies have reoccurred and have came out with movies over and over again. So the 35-year mark is up. So they wanted to squeeze one last Terminator out while they still owned it. Meanwhile, now the rights to the original owners of the Terminator go back to them. So they may want to start a whole new Terminator movie so that, you know, it could be a money grab. But it's been over so many years that this original movie first came out that it could be played by now. But if you've been a Terminator fan, you've been a Terminator fan. So if another one comes out, it looks good enough, we'll all go see it. So overall, decent film, good action. Out of my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this movie 3 stars out of 4. It was decent film. It kept me in tune from beginning to end. There is no post-credit scene. If you are a subscriber and you are watching this review, make sure your notification buttons is on, and so that you can always get the uploaded content. If you are new, subscribe, like the video. If you watched the movie, tell me what you thought about it. What was your favorite Terminator movie? This was a decent one. And what I would say to you is subscribe and like. Till next time.